Hey guys, Terry here. Hey, I have been wanting to use this scrapbook page on my crop circles. You know that I go to these crops where ladies get together and we do our scrapbooking and card making together. And I've had this piece of paper for a while, and every time I go to use it, I'm like, oh, that's right, I want to cut it on my brother's Scan and Cut. So I want to see how it'll do. I think that I'm going to have to, if you notice where their beards are, there's no solid line. So I'm going to scan it and not cut it yet. I'm just going to scan it and see what that image looks like. And then I'll figure out where I need to better connect those with a pencil, and then I can erase it later. So let me see how this does here. The other thing I have to do is decide if I want to cut it right on the edge or if I want to leave a little white trim there as if I used a die. So let's first scan it and see what it looks like here. So I'm going to load this into my Scan and Cut. There we go. And now I'm going to tell it to scan, direct cut, and then I'm going to tell it to start. I'm going to zoom in so you can see what it recognized. There's a lot of shapes on there, so it does take it a while. Okay, it looks pretty good. Let me zoom in on here. So it looks like it wants to cut the hats, and it didn't even get the nose, and then it's cutting out all the little hearts on here. So what I need to do is draw a pencil line where those beards are so that it just sees it as one shape. So let me draw that with the pencils and then we'll rescan it. I'll just mention that it does look like it got all the other shapes pretty well. The circles look great, the tags look great. Yeah, so it's just the guys with their beard. All the other shapes did the outline. And then of course, the way I'll tell it is to use this little circle where I can tell it to be a quarter of an inch out, or not a quarter of an inch, 0.04 is the distance to make it just have a little white edge. So you can see it looks really good. So I think it's just a matter of outlining their beards, and then I will be able to cut it out. And then my intention is to use these shapes. I'll bag them up and just have them first putting on my layouts as ephemera. So love that. Okay, here goes attempt number 2. I have drawn with a pencil around all their little beards. Just took a second to go on each one. I know this takes a little bit of time, but it's still quicker than fussy cutting all these shapes. Okay, let's see how it did. I'm going to zoom in. It still didn't get the beards. It still didn't get the beards. It looks like it got a little bit of the line, but it still went down and did these hearts. So that's how I know that it leaked into the shape there and didn't get the whole thing. And the top of his hat is outlined. So let me draw my lines a little bit. I'm going to draw the lines just a little bit more solid. Okay, I've drawn the lines quite a bit quite a bit thicker with the pencil. I don't want to have to use a marker. I really want to be able to erase the lines. So we'll see how this goes. Scan, direct cut, start. Okay, let's zoom in. Zoom you in so you can see. And you can go up to 400%. There, now we have the outline of the gnome. So it took a few tries, but I think it looks great. Hopefully that's in focus for you. And it looks awesome. So I'm going to tell it to cut. So let's go back out here. I've told the distance to be the 0.04, and now I'm ready to cut. It's always nerve-wracking when you are, cutting into this one special piece of paper. But let me go through here. Let's see, I still want to edit something here. I always forget where the edit is. Not that. This. Okay, so I want to cycle through here and delete some of the things. If you notice down here, I noticed this one's holding a star. For some reason, it got that star. So I'm just going to cycle through here. And if there's really any shape that you don't like I don't know what it's doing here, I'm just going to delete that. So you can tell it not to cut those ones. And you can figure out at a later time. I just want there to be a good clean cut. So hitting this arrow here, let me zoom in again. I really want you to see this, that you've got this opportunity to select these things. I'm hitting this arrow and cycling through the items. Like there's the one little star down there, so I want to delete that. Hit the arrow. If you miss one, you can go back. And it's just letting me delete the shapes that I don't want. So the gnome is good. He's good. These shapes are all good. So I'm going to go up here to this guy. You can move with your cursor up here to the guy that you want and then hit delete. Just because I don't want it to delete any of the insides there. So it's still got some stuff from these. And it's probably just how the beard is on those. But you can cycle through. See how there's still something in his hand there? So I'm just cycling through everything. Those things look good. Now these hearts over here, that is separate. That is separate. Again, I don't know what it's trying to delete here on these ones, so I'm just going to take those off and tell it not to cut. I really like to use the arrows because then it shows me what it has selected. There's still something up here. Okay, I think we're ready to cut now. So notice that it just has the shape selected that I highlighted there. Okay, so now I'm simply going to, I haven't unloaded my mat because this is all working off of that scan that I did. So I'm ready to tell it to cut. And then I can press the start button here. Okay, let's see what they look like. I always recommend that you test one of the cuts. Just lift it up, don't take the mat out, test it and make sure it cut through. If it cut through, then you can remove your mat. But don't do that until you are ready, because if it wouldn't have cut all the way through, you could tell it to cut again, and it would cut in the same places. So remember, these were the ones that we didn't cut out, but the rest of these look adorable. I'll have to figure out what it was trying to do on these heart shapes here. But these circles look amazing. Look at that. They just look, I mean, you just can't do this fussy cutting by hand. They look so good. These little strips here. Perfect. Now, you know, usually when there's a sheet like this from a paper company, they are stickers. These were not stickers. This was just a sheet. I don't know how they intended to use it. Here's the tags. Look at that. Just love it. And then these gnomes. And I could leave the pencil line on there, or I'll probably erase them. It's up to you. And then here's the circles. So I always recommend to people do it in good lighting. I don't know what that scanner needs, but I have track lighting and I've got good lighting so that it can read that. But these all just look fabulous. So the only complication we had was just the beards. And I just had to use the pencil on them. And I certainly could leave the pencil on or erase it. But they look so cute. I love this paper. This paper is from Colorplay. Colorplay, and I don't remember what year it was. But this was called Crafting with My Gnomes. And if I can find it online, I'll have a link to it. But I can't wait to use this on my scrapbook layouts. They turned out just so precious. So, love that. I will put these in a little baggie and have them with my cropping. Look at these little guys, even these little bands here. Too cute. They just cut out so well. So I'll have a photo on my blog post, just so you can see these better than in the video. But they turned out so good. So, and these guys are adorable. So, break out that Brother Scan and Cut. Don't be afraid to cut into the paper. You can certainly put the paper in, scan it, see what it sees. If you don't like it, delete it from the cut. You know, the cut setting there. Just delete what you don't want it to cut. Like, I'm going to have to go back and figure out. I'd have to zoom in on this and see what it thought it saw. The other thing you could do is you can send that image to your computer too, because sometimes it's easier to see this on the computer screen than it is to zoom in on the little screen on the computer, on the Brother Scan and Cut. So I like to do that too. And then these ones, I don't know what was different about these than the ones at the bottom. Clearly they're the same thing. So who knows? Maybe it's a spot on the scanner. If I move this to another part of the mat, maybe it'll scan correctly. So my advice to you is to have patience and stick with it. And then just cut the things that you could see that it did you know, that it saw well. And don't cut those things out. Don't frustrate yourself. You don't want to ruin your piece of paper. So if you don't like how it's looking on the scan, you know, take it out of there before you tell it to cut. So I hope this helps. I hope it gives you inspiration to use your Brother Scan and Cut. I'll have links on my blog post to all the things that I showed, and I hope you have a special week. Bye, guys.